Hey guys, Dave the Watchman here coming at you with another watch video. Before I get started, I just wanted to say thank you so much to all my current subscribers. I really do appreciate every single one of you guys, and I am so grateful for the fact that you guys are following this channel and liking and commenting and all the input and everything. It's great. You guys are awesome. And I really, really do appreciate every single one of you guys and how far you've helped me grow this channel since I started. Today I'm going to go over something. It's a topic that that a lot of people uh, probably don't understand about watches. I know I sure as heck didn't understand it before I started getting into watches. I always knew that some watches they wound up and some watches they had a battery. I didn't know much about the difference between the two when I first got into watches, and obviously we're all learning something new every single day, and I just wanted to put together a little bit of a video to kind of explain to people how a quartz watch actually tells time and how it works. um, Basically, you've got you've got your different types of watches. You've got your wind up watches, your automatics, and you've got your quartz watches. You've got your automatics, which have a, let's see if I get, okay, here's one here. um You've got your automatic watches, which have the gearing inside, and this one has the exhibition window, which is actually really nice. I really like that. But you can actually see it. This is a watch that, in order for it to keep telling time, you have to wind it. And this is the way a lot of watches were back in the day. All the watches back in the day, you had to wind until the quartz watch came out. And that kind of revolutionized the way watches were made. The problem with the quartz watches was that they were too good. They told time amazingly well. They hold up for very long periods of time. The batteries rarely need to be changed before 2 to 3 years. So these things are very dependable. These quartz movements were very, very dependable. Plus, they could be made much for much less of an expense than it took the time for somebody to put together the gears and all the tourbillon work and all of the springs and the return spring mechanisms and all of the things that are involved in getting an automatic watch to move with the gearing and all of that. It was a lot less work for them to crank out stuff like this in the factory that has a quartz movement. So they were less expensive and they were twice as reliable, basically. And this is just my opinion. So if you got a watch hater out there that wants to tell me that I'm full of crap because I don't know what I'm talking about, well, you know what? This video is not for you. I'm just basically trying to show the difference between a quartz movement and an automatic movement. And I have my own opinions on this. So, not saying anything bad about an automatic movement. I love automatic movements. But they are more for the pure watch collector. Your more high-end watches are going to have the dedication to craftsmanship to make watches with automatic movements, and that's why some watches are so much more expensive than other watches. But this video is just about basically trying to explain to people how a quartz watch actually moves, keeps time, because a lot of people don't know how a quartz movement watch works, and they wouldn't know the difference between, the price difference between, like, say for example, this Addie's dive with the automatic movement. You can see the second hand. It's a sweeping second hand. And if you look at a quartz movement, well, this is a bad example because this is a Meca-quartz. But if you look at a regular quartz movement, you'll see it tick. So why? Why is this one ticking at such a faster rate and this one's ticking at a slower rate, but they're both quartz movements, and this one's an automatic and this one's an automatic? And, well, this one doesn't have a second hand, but this one with the second hand, you can see it's sweeping. So what is the difference? Okay, well, I'm going to tell you what the difference is. Well, first and foremost, I already told you that the automatic movement, which is what this one is a series of gears and springs and drives and the spring drives and things like that, which actually make the watch tick, but not tick, but the movement turn. Okay, and it's a lot of complicated stuff that goes into these automatic watches, which make them more of a work of art, really, than a piece of a machine. They're more of a work of art. I mean, when you start to look at the gearing and how they do this stuff, it's actually very artistic. Um, a quartz movement, such as the one that's in this Patek Philippe homage, is actually something that's probably going to be similar to this right here. Okay, and if we pop off the back of this, okay, this is where we can get into seeing the inside of the watch. Okay, so now if you see this little canister right off into the corner there. Now I know everybody's heard of a quartz stone or a quartz rock, quartz crystal. Okay, you've probably seen or even held a quartz crystal. That's what's inside that little canister. And basically what they do is they take a quartz crystal and they make a tuning fork out of it and they place it inside that canister. Okay, and the battery sends power to that tuning fork. Well, the amazing thing about quartz is that it vibrates at an exact frequency when it's hit by electricity. And that frequency is 32,768 vibrations per second. So when you think about that, and you take the electricity from this battery and you send it into this tuning fork, this crystal tuning fork inside of this canister here will vibrate at 32,768 vibrations per second. So how does that turn into time? Okay, basically, without getting into too much detail, this vibration then gets sent into a microprocessor, which is placed on this. Let's see if we can get that to. Which is basically sent into a microprocessor that is placed on this circuit board. When this is done vibrating, it knows that it has stopped vibrating at the 1 second mark, and then it sends a pulse to move the second hand. And it continues to do this until this battery runs completely out of energy, which it usually takes 2 to 3 years. So that is basically, without getting too deep into the scientific aspect of it, but basically you have a crystal tuning fork, a quartz crystal tuning fork inside of this barrel, inside of this canister, which is powered by this battery, and this battery vibrates it at 32,768 vibrations per second. The microprocessor feeds off of the information it receives from those vibrations, and it actually moves the second hand once every second, every time it's finished vibrating for that 32,768th time. And that's how you get a quartz movement to work. Now, a lot of people out there will say, "Oh, quartz watches, they're junk." You know, a lot of haters out there just because a watch is a quartz watch, it's junk. That's not the case. There's a lot of watches out there that are great quality watches that have quartz movements. They come in all different shapes and sizes, and they also have the Meca-quartz movement. And so typically the telltale sign of any automatic watch is going to be the sweeping second hand. Well, this is not an automatic movement. And if you'll notice, it looks like it's sweeping second hand. But in actuality, what that is a Meca-quartz. And the Meca-quartz movement makes this pulse every second, every 4 times per second. So it's actually taking the frequency 32,768 and dividing it by 4 and the microprocessor is creating a pulse once every quarter second. So that's how you get the appearance of an automatic movement out of a quartz movement watch. You're actually getting one tick of that second hand every quarter second. And that's how that works. And you'll notice it moves 4 times in every second interval. And that's your Meca-quartz movement. Okay, so that's just a basic rundown. I'm not a professional. I don't claim to be a watch professor. I don't build watches. I'm not a jeweler. I'm just a guy. I like my watches. I like to buy them. I like to wear them, and I like to review them. I'm Dave the Watchman. I review budget-friendly watches for the everyman. And that being said, a lot of the watches that I review, almost all of the watches that I review, have quartz movements. And I just wanted to basically explain that to people, because sometimes you'll hear me say, oh, this is a great watch. You get really good specs on this watch because it's got an automatic movement. And this one's got a Meca-quartz movement. And this one's just a quartz watch with whatever. There's a lot of different things that go into these watches, and I just basically wanted to explain to people what the difference between an automatic movement and a quartz movement actually is, and why it's less expensive. So you're not necessarily having to, you can get, honestly guys, you can get a watch like this. You could get a watch that has a completely solid silver bracelet. You could get a watch that has a completely solid gold bracelet. You could get a completely solid gold bracelet where this bracelet is worth 20 grand if you melted down the gold. And then you could put a quartz movement in it. And honestly, how does that really diminish the value of the watch? It doesn't really diminish the value of the watch. That's why I focus on these budget-friendly watches, because I know with the quartz movement, and anybody out there that knows about what quartz does and what the quartz movements do, they know that there's nothing wrong with these quartz movements. And especially in a watch like this where you don't have an exhibition case. This one right here, you've got an exhibition case, so you can actually see what went into building this automatic movement. But on a watch like this, why not have a Meca-quartz movement on it? It's just as beautiful as its counterpart. They actually make this watch in an automatic. They make this watch in an automatic. This watch is an automatic. Just for example, this watch is an automatic, okay? And it doesn't have an exhibition case. So honestly, how would you be able to tell the difference, really, if this one had a Meca-quartz in it? You wouldn't. You're not going to see it. The only way you know that this isn't a Meca-quartz is the fact that you have to wind it. Okay? This one you don't have to wind. So these watches, they do have a value. They do have a value, and they do have a purpose. And that purpose is to keep watches affordable. And it's to keep these watches affordable and reliable. Okay? And there's because they don't have to put so much into every watch to build it. So that's about all I have to say about the quartz. If you guys got any other input that you want to put below, I would definitely appreciate that. But basically, that's how I understand the quartz movements. And I just figured I wanted to share that with you guys so that way you could understand exactly what the difference is between a quartz, an automatic, or a Meca-quartz movement. And just so that you guys will know when you see these review videos, why these watches are so much less expensive and what the differences are between their more expensive counterparts as far as an automatic movement or a Meca-quartz movement. So anyhow, if you like this video, please make sure you do give that thumbs up, like, and subscribe. If you want to see more watches and watch review videos, my name is Dave the Watchman, and I review budget-friendly watches for the everyman because I don't believe that you should have to spend a fortune to look like you have a fortune. So until next time, I'm Dave the Watchman, and I am out of here. You guys have a great week.